Warning, due to some language and subject matter, listener discretion is advised.
Beyonce Knowles once said, "If there's one thing I'm willing to bet on, it's myself." My next guest shares a few unique connections to Beyonce, and betting on herself is just one of those things. She's a former news anchor and field reporter for local CBS affiliate in Lincoln, Nebraska. And currently, she's the founder and CEO of upstart digital marketing firm Oh Hello. Her name is Natalie Micale, and she's going to put on a social media clinic while telling an exciting story I can't wait for all of you to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Caught on the Mic. Natalie, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
The first time I saw you was when I was on the news and we were flipping hamburgers outside for a July special.
You know, and it's funny because I think we'd scheduled that 3 different times, and like the first 3 times you had emergencies that you had to go report on. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, there was like a fire. Yeah, there was
Yes!
always a fire at 3 a.m. So,
Well, thanks for doing this. I've been super excited about getting together. I've been following your life transition the past few years. Super proud to call you a friend because of the great things that you are doing. So why don't you take this opportunity and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
yeah, so I'm originally from Houston, Texas. If you know me well, then you know that I'll usually mention initially that I went to high school with Beyonce. I wasn't in the same class, but she did go to my high school. And how many people can say that like a mega superstar went to their high school? Not that many. So I got a full scholarship for musical theater to Nebraska Wesleyan. So that's how I got to Nebraska. I don't know if you can imagine me tap dancing or singing or acting.
Actually, I can.
Yeah, all of those things. I actually still do them on a regular basis. Just depends on what's going on at work. And so after Nebraska Wesleyan, I actually had really built, a love for Lincoln. And so I decided I was going to go into journalism like my junior year. I went and worked in DC. I came back here and I got a job at 1011, and I was there for 4 years. And 1011 was an amazing place for me to just get really super connected to the local community, to learn about Nebraska. I believe that's where I connected with you, obviously, as we started the show out for that. And so I got to the point in my career at 1011 where I was like, I'm really tired. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night. I'm exhausted all the time. And I'm ready to, wake up and have 9 hours of sleep. So I decided to leave 1011 and I went to Evil Empire Creative, which was a marketing agency here that, the founder came from Denver. He started it. It really blew up. It took off. I was a director of business development there. I was there for 2 years. I helped build the sales team and really just start the process of getting us bigger clients and bigger fish and building out the whole lead gen training and sales training. It was a lot of fun. And Andrew is a brilliant salesman. So honestly, without that experience, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing now. When that agency was acquired by Firespring, now to get me here, to kind of sum up the story, Andrew sold it to Firespring, or it was acquired by Firespring, and which is the same thing essentially. And I decided I wasn't ready to go work for the man. So started Oh Hello Agency, a creative agency, and I started with 3 of us. So there was 2 other partners involved. And in the last year, we decided that I was going to buy them out. Honestly, we're all still friends to this day. And there was really just, as entrepreneurs, everyone kind of wanted to do different things. And when you start a business together, as many people know, it's rare that everyone stays together and it just goes happy-go-lucky. There's always a point where one person decides, I want to do this, and the other person decides, I want to do this, and it may not mesh up. So yeah, we realigned, and in the last year, it's really just been a lot of me rebuilding the company and figuring out where I want to take the agency. And then, of course, 3 months into deciding I wanted to do this on my own, a pandemic hits, which is always great. So, yeah.
Take a breath. So for those that are not aware, 1011 is the CBS affiliate here in Lincoln, Nebraska, just to kind of trace back a little bit. So you did musical theater.
Yes.
In high school.
Yes.
So,
I went to a performing arts high school.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about who Nat was in high school.
Oh, I was a dork.
Me too.
Yeah. I think I put a post up the other day on my social media that I was a misfit, and I definitely was.
I loved that.
Yeah, I was a misfit. I mean, I still feel like that. You know, it's funny because my dad called me and he was like, you know, you had me and you weren't. And I was like, Dad, like you were traveling and, you know, my mom and I didn't have the best relationship. And I was trying to figure out who I was. I was doing musical theater. I was doing shows till like 8 o'clock at night. And, I was just really quirky, you know? Yep. I hadn't really found my voice. And so even acting was a way for me to kind of play with the concept of creativity and put on different characters and see if I could figure out who I am. You know, I wasn't like the super popular kid. I didn't have a boyfriend in high school, like barely. I think I like kissed one dude. And, you know, I went to this school that kind of taught you that rules are meant to be broken, right? I mean, 8:30 a.m. yoga. They took all the bells out of the school because they didn't believe that bells should be in school. They said bells push you around and tell you what to do. Wow. And so they wanted bells to be like, you know, taken out so that you would start to know your own time. If you wanted to get coffee, you just left and got coffee and came back to class. I mean, it was a very relaxed environment, but at the same time, if you failed a class, like you were on suspension, and if you failed two, you were eliminated and you had to re-audition every year. So I was this weird, quirky misfit who was also very independent and great at school and creative. And yeah, I guess that's who I was.
So I've kicked around the idea of an episode later down the line, Confessions of a Former Teenage Drama Nerd, because that's me too. Like what's funny is like what you just said about yourself is everything about me. Take away the performing arts high school. I was actually in a rural high school and I did music and I did theater. Yeah. And I didn't become athletic until post high school.
Yeah.
And I was a late bloomer. And it was one of those things where like it set up a foundation for how I view people and how I view relationships. So if you had to go back to those performing arts days, what was your favorite production that you were ever a part of?
Oh, that's a good question. Favorite show I was ever a part of?
Yeah.
Okay. Zombie Prom.
What?
Zombie Prom. Yeah. It was about a guy in the 1950s who was a zombie and he was in love with his high school sweetheart. It happened by accident because he fell into a chemical plant. And it was like 1950s characters, and it was all about, you know, the zombie prom, what happens when the zombie comes to prom. And I mean, it was really fun. And, you know, we had some amazing people come into our school.
Sure.
Some amazing actors, because a hallmark of HSPVA was they would bring in these people from Broadway, like our choreographer for Zombie Prom and director had, you know, she was in the original cast of Chorus Line on Broadway, right? And so it's like we would have these amazing talented people come in and help us do these renditions of these fabulous musicals. So Zombie Prom, which most people don't know.
Right.
And it really didn't do well on Broadway or off Broadway, but it did well in our hearts because we loved it at HSPVA. So.
If you owned it and you loved it, that's all that mattered, right?
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was Daddy Warbucks in a production of Annie.
I love Annie. Tomorrow.
And it was like, you know, having a bald cap spirit gum to my head, even though I did shave my head to do it. It was a lot of fun.
I love it.
So what's a project or a performance that you wanted to do but never got to do?
Spring Awakening. I remember auditioning for Spring Awakening, which is really about these young teenagers in Germany. They're basically finding their sexuality and they're having all these emotions. And I auditioned and I didn't get in. And I love the reprise. I love all of the actresses, the original cast. I saw it at the Lead Center when they were doing their national tour. And I love the music. And I just never got to play any of the roles. So...
Jean Valjean, Les Mis.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It shouldn't. He's like the sun I might have known.
That's great.
So that was always the one that I wanted to do, but never got a chance. And I don't think they licensed Les Mis for high school performance until the early aughts, like around 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
So for obvious reasons, because subjectively speaking, I still don't know if high schools should be performing something of that level or that stature.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of fun. So you went from
Wesleyan, yeah.
Wesleyan to being a news anchor.
Yeah.
So explain that trajectory.
Well, Wesleyan doesn't really have a journalism program, and I decided to do C-SPAN as an internship in D.C. and a local news station in D.C. I got jobs there during what's called the CHIP experience, which Wesleyan sends you to D.C. and it's an internship. And I applied to probably so many news stations and CNN and all these big ones, and finally, I got a call back from like the local news station, and then I was already in DC. And when I went to go interview for C-SPAN, I was really grateful that I got the internship there. So on both accounts, what ended up happening was this is one of those moments for me where I'm like, wow. I came back from DC 3 weeks early before my senior year. And I'd applied to 1011 News, and I knew they only took like 1 or 2 interns, and I was not getting a call back, and I was so frustrated. And so we're sitting in a coffee shop, me and a friend, and I see these 2 people walk in, and Nikki Bates and Steph McGowan, walk into this coffee shop, and they're wearing 1011 polos. And I wanted to vomit. I knew I had to walk up to them and tell them that I wanted to intern there, And so I was looking at my best friend, and I told her, I said, I've called and called. No one's gotten back to me. I've got to intern. They're the #1 station in Lincoln. And she said, okay, well, here's your chance. So I went up to them and I just pitched them on the spot. And I said, this is why I would be an amazing intern. This is why I will just kick butt, hire me. So they were a little weirded out because they were just there to get coffee. It turns out they worked in the sales team or the marketing team. They weren't in the newsroom. And the next day I get a call from the assistant news director, and she says, if you can be here in 10 minutes, we'll give you an interview. And I was there in 5. And I got the job. And from then on, I just hustled for 6 months as an intern. I really worked hard. I worked my ass off. And I expect that out of everybody that works with me, which is sometimes a little grueling. But, I held a microphone outside for 13 hours waiting for Bo Pelini to come out when there was an audio tape that was leaked. I was in the snow, helping people shoot content. I was doing a lot of the grunt work as an intern. And after 6 months of that, they were like, all right, we know you're still a senior, but you've worked hard. We're going to give you a chance to be a reporter. Do you want to be a reporter? And I was like the youngest reporter that had ever been hired there. That was how I did it.
This is great because I think there's going to be a repetitive theme about you taking a bet on yourself and gambling on yourself and then it paying off in dividends. What did you love the most about reporting?
Well, I'm a natural performer. So I love the lights on action. And I love that it's live. Just like what we're doing right now, whatever you say, whatever you do, you don't get another moment to redo it. And so there's a thrill in that. And it's also every single day is a new day, right? And no one cares how good your story was yesterday. They care about how good your story is today. And it just keeps you on your toes. So being live, being on my toes, having the pressure on, I always feel like I do best under pressure.
Sure. So. I can definitely relate to that. Throughout the course of doing that, did you ever notice that your relationships with people would change over time and how you perceived people whenever you would first approach them, or
like emotional intelligence?
Bingo.
Yeah, for sure, because when you're knocking on someone's door hoping to get an interview with them when their daughter just died in a car accident 3 hours ago,
right?
You better have some really great emotional intelligence or You're not getting the interview, right?
Right.
And so I don't want to call it manipulation because it's not, because you have to have a lot of empathy to do that job, and ultimately that is really exhausting on you long term. But yeah, you learn to key into how people are feeling really quickly and how to not get heated, address your emotions, lower your vocal tone, read people so that you can get the story and get the inside scoop that maybe somebody else won't get because they don't have those instincts. And really good reporters have killer emotional instincts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's weird because you develop these skill sets and then you find that it's applicable to your everyday life. Like you're able to read somebody, like if you're having a business meeting or you're interviewing somebody for a job, you pick up on these nonverbal cues that maybe you wouldn't have without those experiences. So part of this podcast and this experience is kind of rebuilding that faith, that good faith in people again.
Oh, good faith in people is hard to come by sometimes.
So shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about that moment you decided to make that change from reporter and anchor person to this new career path that you've taken on since.
Yeah. I only interviewed for one job when I left 10/11, and it was Evil Empire. I really fell for the passion of the startup life. I honestly can't even say if it was marketing. I think anyone who was a true entrepreneur and starting a company and had the hustle that Andrew did, if they had approached me like he did about an opportunity, he had a really great vision for what evil could be. And he was really great at articulating that. If it had been anyone with that same amount of vision and gusto and energy, no matter the product, I think I would have joined. That's really what I fell for. I am an entrepreneur. I don't see myself ever working for anyone else. Sometimes I need to remember that, even on the hard days, right? And that is ultimately what I was drawn to. So I can't even say it was marketing. I mean, marketing was the right fit. So there was probably some of that because I'm a storyteller, and being able to tell stories and build a great brand is definitely a huge integral part of working in marketing and communications. But the biggest thing that made me want to switch careers was being able to take control of my own life and be paid and receive acclaim or, fame or power through what I do. And that sounds really weird because you're like, well, you were on TV. But the truth is, and I believe this, is local news is a public service.
Right.
It is. I mean, anyone who doesn't understand that, those people, when I was one of those people, you don't get your makeup done. You don't get your hair done. You do it all yourself. You're working long, hard hours. You have to stay completely dedicated to the public. You cannot share your own opinions. You cannot have a personal brand. Your personal brand is neutral. Your personal brand is, look at this dog pic. Look at my baby, right?
Right.
And in a way, it's amazing for those people that want to do that. But for me, like, I'm just a little too rebellious to feel like I can't say what I want to say or do what I want to do completely. And being an entrepreneur, you get to kind of set your own pace, right? Especially working for yourself. So what I left news for wasn't necessarily a marketing job. It was for exactly that, building my own future, creating my own legacy, being able to say and do what I wanted with my personal brand, and envisioning what life as a really great entrepreneur could look like for me.
And a year like 2020, like I said before we even started recording, we're going to talk around certain subjects. But being that society is in a place where it is and feels so diametrically opposed, do you feel like some of those behavioral traits that you had to adapt as a public servant, as a news reporter, are now having to be applied currently because of the current socio status that we're living through? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to talk politics on my social media. I mean, you're just going to alienate people that would work with you or that want to work with you because of their feelings. And we're moving into this world where people's brand beliefs and values, if you don't align with them, they don't want to work with you.
Right.
Like, that's a thing. So we can align on values that aren't political and still have a great working relationship. I believe that. So yeah, I would say that I'm definitely, I don't want to talk politics with people on social media. And I don't think you're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change yours.
Right, exactly.
I don't really see the point.
Exactly. Yeah. I have what I call bar rules. It's like, I'm not going to talk politics and I'm not going to talk religion with anybody.
Right.
Because in a bar, if you talk either one of those things, you're going to get into a fight, or at least in the old guys' bars.
100%. I feel the exact same way.
Let's talk a little bit about social media.
Yeah, totally.
Because your current career path and your entrepreneurialism is definitely anchored in that field.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the power of social media right now.
Yeah, I mean, social media, I like to look at it as business media. All these brands and companies that have been ignoring it, I think in the pandemic are looking up and going, I need to be here. This is where everyone is right now. And I see social media as business media. You have to learn to leverage it for your business and to not let it make you addicted. So a lot of people don't know this, but I have a virtual assistant who manages all my social media, right? So most of the posts, I write them. I get up every morning and write a post, and the photos are of me, but I'm not on there posting this content, optimizing it for times, scrolling through and liking things. I do not see that as a good use of my time. So what our job is to help brands do the same. You want to build a relationship on social media, tell authentic, vulnerable stories, right? Comment back to people that comment on your stuff. Use paid sponsored ads to grow your following. But I see social media as a tool, and the people that I know that are on there all the time, they really, I think they suffer because it can give you a lot of anxiety to see what everybody else is doing. So business media, that's how we stay sane at the agency. It's just like having a website. The strategies we're developing, the work that we're doing. We have enough people on our team that I don't have to be on social media all the time. I think if I was, I would hate my life.
So have you seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix yet?
I have not. I'm pretty sure that everybody but me has seen that. And honestly, I had friends tell me, don't watch it. It's going to make you feel bad about your job. And I was like, not really, because it's just like a website. You just got to be there.
But knowing what I know of you, you're pretty open-minded and sane person that you would be able to kind of weed through what's a narrative for entertainment value versus what's real.
Totally.
Like the biggest takeaway I got from watching that documentary was the following day, follow 5 things that I completely disagree with, just so I could trip the algorithms to be a little bit more balanced.
Right.
Because social media is all based around algorithms.
Right.
And that's kind of what you were talking about, like not directly, but having virtual assistants and such is you're basically tripping the algorithms to work in your favor.
100%.
So what is your feelings about social media influencers as a whole?
So that's a really good question. I see myself as like a very micro influencer, although we are about to launch some online courses and run more paid ads to my content. But I think influencers are kind of the modern day celebrities, right? Like I don't see people talking to me about what Nicole Kidman wore on the red carpet.
Right.
People talk to me about what Whitney Simmons rolled out with Gymshark because they've been following her for a couple of, 1,000, months or a long time, 1,000 months, that even exists. But so yeah, people are, influencers now are modern day celebrities. The way they stay relevant or not is whether they bring immense amounts of value to your life. So niching down, like Whitney Simmons is my favorite fitness vlogger. She's been doing it for so many years. I get a new workout from her every week. When she rolled out her paid model, which was an app of $15 a month, no brainer. I bought it because I've been working out with you every week. So these influencers are really strategic and they niche down and they become the modern day celebrity in an industry. And then they rolled out a paid subscription model that's going to help set them up for life. And that's really sharp and really smart. So yeah, I see influencers as the modern day celebrities. I see that celebrities now are becoming a little bit more, I guess the word would be, I don't want to say outdated, but I was watching TikTok the other day and I was going through TikToks and I found one that I really liked. I was like, oh, this guy's really talented. I wonder where he's at. And he was playing some piano and singing. Well, it was Charlie Puth.
Yeah.
But I had no idea because there's so many people out there doing that stuff that I was like, no way is this guy a celebrity. Like talented people aren't celebrities, right? So our frameworks for what a celebrity is are changing. And with that comes a whole new set of expectations because influencers are supposed to be real people now who are the modern day celebrity, who are supposed to engage with you all the time, who are supposed to give you great, valuable content. And so our expectations of what we want from celebrities and what we want from influencers are kind of moving into the middle. And now we're seeing things like Amazon rolling out the Drop, which is like a prime fashion shopping thing with influencers. And we're seeing Gymshark, which is like, a multi-million-dollar workout company using influencers to launch their clothing. Now retailers, instead of just getting The Weeknd to wear a shirt and, post it on Instagram, are leveraging their time and their money and using influencers.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's the funny thing. We'll be sitting around the dinner table, and I've got twin 14-year-old stepdaughters and my daughters, and they will talk about some of these TikTok celebrities.
Right.
And it's just totally going over my head. But it blows my mind how that culture is so divided from the type of fame that we typically know or have known. And that the fact that COVID-19 has really kind of expedited those platforms to a certain degree.
Totally.
So it's
COVID-19's accelerated everything, especially our relationships with influencers, because they're in our house with us.
right.
I mean, celebrities have had to turn influencer, but I mean, Vin Diesel just put out a song during COVID-19,
Yeah,
which
I
I
couldn't
thought was
believe that
beyond
either.
weird. Weirdest things that have happened during COVID-19, Vin Diesel singing a song with Kygo. But yeah, I mean, celebrities are realizing like they have to make themselves accessible now because the influencers have led the way on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Every good thing has its bad side, but is there a certain level of toxicity that has kind of permeated itself into the influencer culture?
I mean, I think the photoshopped photos are now. So what's happening now is people are realizing photos are photoshopped. People have rented jets and they're taking pictures in them and pretending like they own them. Someone's standing in front of a car outside of a mansion just because they want to. That's not their real life, and people are calling bullshit on it.
Right.
So I'd say like maybe previously, yes. Like this is the year where people want vulnerable. They want new. You can
Right.
see it in marketing, you can see it. I mean, Target's putting up ads around the lingerie section and they're not editing out cellulite anymore. Have you noticed that?
Right.
I mean, influencers have led the conversation for that. And Target is realizing, models will be the death of luxury and models in the next 25 years is coming because no longer is Louis Vuitton luxury. Luxury is having the freedom to go travel to Japan while you work for yourself. That's what people view as luxury. And so COVID-19's accelerated all of that. And over the next 25 years, we're going to see less models being paid to do what they do. We're going to see the death. I believe we're going to see the death of like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and YSL. Maybe not the complete extinction, but their sales are going to drop dramatically as people move towards this sustainable, healthy. We're going through a cultural shift where we just don't want fake right now. We want real.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's a Facebook page and an Instagram page that I follow for little giggles, shits and giggles every now and again. It's called Influencers in the Wild.
Oh, I love it.
Then there's the other side of it. And this is where I'm going to pay a compliment to you. You cited yourself as a micro-influencer.
Yes.
So you're always posting very helpful content. You're offering advice for people that are young entrepreneurs and they're looking for ways to market themselves. That's the type of thing that I like to engage with.
Me too.
That's the type of thing that I like to follow.
Yeah. I don't need to see you on another beach.
Right. Absolutely.
That doesn't help me right now.
Right. And TikTok growing in popularity as it is, I have a TikTok page or a TikTok account so I could follow my kids. And while I was, when I get on TikTok, I get sucked into this black hole where it was just like my For You page was just like thirst trap, thirst trap, thirst trap, thirst
I know how
trap,
that happens.
thirst trap. And then I switched it over to a business account. And now I'm seeing uplifting stuff.
Valuable content.
Yes, valuable content. It's just like,
What in the world?
How does
Yeah.
that happen? Like, how does something like that happen?
Well, I mean, TikTok is just like all the other social media platforms in that they only make money if they keep you there. So
Right.
they're going to show you based on what you put in your profile and your demographic information. And I'm going to guess you either teamed it up with Facebook or they have some basic information that they know who you are. They want to show you the content that's going to keep you on the platform longest so that they can serve you ads because they only make money if you're on there long enough that they can serve you ads. And what everyone forgets is that if you post a bad photo, a blurry photo, if you post a graphic that looks overly salesy, Facebook and Instagram bury all of that content because they only make money when ads can be seen. They have to keep people on your content. So if your content isn't interesting or valuable or entertaining and you're just trying to sell yourself, Facebook and Instagram go, nobody wants to see that. And that's not gonna make us money. Whereas content, even like a selfie, will do better because that's the content that people want to see and that'll keep you on the platform. So TikTok was showing you the content that they think you want to see based on some of your browsing history. I'm just kidding.
No.
Based on I know. Based on your demo, based on your age, based on what people your age with your preferences specifically typically like. That's
Right.
what they're basing it on. And when you switch to a business account, that information changes and they're giving you more valuable content because you're a business.
There you go. That's a good answer. That's actually exactly what I was looking for.
It sucks, right?
It totally sucks.
I'm
It totally
getting targeted
sucks.
for like 20 different, workout outfits right now.
Let's talk about what you do, what else you do in your free time. What little free time you have.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I just hired a business coach to help me kind of scale and grow. And we are launching online courses this week for teaching people how to leverage virtual assistants. 3 months ago when the pandemic started, we realized, man, we should really teach people how to hire virtual assistants like we have for the agency and leverage them for marketing tasks. And so we created a program in the last 3 months called the VA Revenue Generator. There's a bunch of different tracks, but the whole point is, how as a small business entrepreneur or solopreneur can you delegate tasks for as little as $5 an hour and get back your time? Because there's somebody who for $5 an hour would happily edit all of your podcasts, post the content to social media, and for $150 a month, you could spend more dinner time with your family instead of doing all of the work.
Right.
I'm pitching you right now.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. So
I got that.
it wasn't very sneaky. So so we're launching those courses, and I've hired a business coach to help kind of scale and grow because, I really haven't been able to figure out exactly how to get to the $1 million mark. And I think that that's something that's like raw and honest, and, we're doing well, but I really want to get to that mark in the next year as a female entrepreneur. I think only 2%, under 8% of female entrepreneurs ever build a business that's over $1 million in revenue. And so that's been kind of my next goal. So that said, when you ask about my free time, right now it's working out. I teach fitness. It's resting, it's sleep, food, it's necessities. And I feel a little bit bad about that at times because, I'm still trying to scale and grow and create so many systems and processes. And it feels like I'm playing whack-a-mole right now. Like I fix one thing and then there's another, right? But, I also know that that's just a season for my life. And so I have a very tight circle of friends that really understand and get the fact that I'm not always available, and that if it takes me a couple days to text back, it's okay. And that Friday nights might not be, I don't ever really stay out till 1 a.m. I think 3 nights this summer I did.
Right.
And I have a great supportive boyfriend, and that's pretty much it right now. So
I like the fact that you brought up the working out and the teaching fitness. How did COVID, when it first happened, impact that?
Well, I got a Peloton like the second week of COVID. It's sitting right over there.
Beautiful.
So I was able to gain some like basically mental relief, but I was definitely really stressed out the first 6 weeks of COVID. I mean, there were a couple weeks there where I just didn't want to get out of bed. I was depressed. I didn't understand, why do we have to do this? I had a friend who lives nearby that was my COVID-19 buddy. I was living alone. I live alone, and it was really hard. I mean, we're really lucky that we're starting to bounce back, but that place has been a huge sanctuary for me. And, we're losing small businesses. Power Cycle just closed down. They're another cycling studio. I saw that, and it's scary, So just trying to show up and keep going and keep bringing new people every day. And it definitely brought back the gratitude. I'd kind of settled into, I teach at the studio and this is my life. And then all of a sudden it gets taken away and you just appreciate it that much more because we were closed for 3 months. And that was so hard because that's my community. Those are my people. That's my tribe. If there's a tribe, it's the people of Fly.
I totally understand that. Like, when the gyms close down, I'm not a guy that works out on his own. That's also my antidepressant. It's my anti-anxiety medication.
Too. It's my talk me off the ledge, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not like that either. I mean, I lift weights alone, but like cardio is impossible.
Yes.
And I ended up just doing some workouts on Instagram Live. I got some weights over there. I ended up doing, the Fly Fitness Facebook group workouts, but it was definitely hard.
Yeah. So I ended up converting my garage into a gym for a few months. My son, when I would have him and he would be with me, we'd go on a run through the neighborhood. But man, I think just now I'm starting to fall back into my routines.
Love it.
But, it is what it is. So what's something that people seem to misunderstand about you?
Misunderstand about me? That's a really good question and a very tough question.
Yeah.
You knew that going into that question.
Yes, I did.
I think people think I've had it really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people think, because I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, I don't know if you studied the Enneagram, but I mean, 3s are like typically on the Enneagram known as people who we make it look super easy, everything we're doing. So easy to the point we're working so hard to make things look so easy. And I don't know that everyone knows that I work really, really hard, that I fail just like everybody else. And that even though I might post pictures looking hot, in a swimsuit or on vacation, traveling the world, that's obviously the highlights. But there are a lot of tough days, entrepreneurship is hard. And, I shared on social media that I got on anxiety medicine last year because I was, buying out my partners and trying to figure out how to do this on my own and freaked out about everything. And yeah, I got on anxiety medicine. It was the best thing I ever did for myself. And I think a lot of people just wouldn't expect that because I'm such a happy person, and I'm so upbeat and I'm so go get it. And I got this and I'll do that. And I'm very task oriented. But truth be told, it's not easy. I might make it look easy, but it's not.
It takes its toll on you over time.
You got here and, 30 minutes ago, I'm having a tough conversation with a client and we're doing this interview and I'm thinking in the back of my head, well, how are we going to get that figured out? And what did that client really need? And, did we make a mistake or do I need to have an internal meeting with the team to figure out what the problem was there? Entrepreneurship is all a learning curve and it's just not easy.
I think it's something that's also tied by just giving a shit about what you do. You care about what you do.
Yeah,
you care about what you do and you care about the end result, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to let those things bother you. You're going to strive for perfection.
And sometimes that's hard for me. Sometimes I strive for perfection so much that I know that I will work 4 or 5 weeks, get up at 7 or 8, I'll say 8:30 and work till midnight. And then I need a week off. Or 3 days where I just run errands, catch up on personal life. I feel like I kind of put myself through these mini endurance sprints where I'm just going. And then after 5 or 6 weeks, it kind of comes crashing down for a couple breaths. And then I go back into it. And I really love what I do, but I really want to leave a legacy in this world and I'm still trying to figure out what that is. And so I think I definitely have work addiction problems.
Sure.
And I have to kind of stop myself and go, it's time to go to bed.
Right. Anybody that's creative minded is going to be like that. We're just wired differently than everybody else. I obsess, I micromanage, and then sometimes I just have to micromanage myself it's okay to let it go. It's not the end of the world.
Totally. 100%.
What advice would you give to somebody that would be taking some of the same risks or making the same bets on themselves as you have yourself?
Okay. Don't lose sleep over things that has nothing to do with you. I would get an email from a client in the early stages of this business that they weren't happy with our work or they weren't happy with something. And I'd be I'd be up all night over it until I would have that call the next day to find out how I could fix it. And now when that happens, and it still does occasionally, definitely not as often as when I first started, I just remember that I'm going to realign expectations and figure out how to solve the problem. And because I give a shit, everything will be okay.
Right. There's always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow. And in the beginning of this business, the 3 years ago when we started it, I would just ruminate over shit and not sleep all night and wake up like a complete mess. It's not like I don't still. I would say I ruminate over personal problems or personal things that are, I think, a bigger deal. But I would let these little ticks and little things I would obsess over them. And I wish I hadn't done that because it would have given me more freedom to just get better and love myself.
Yeah. So are you a pacer? Somebody paces around the house whenever?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone. Tony, am I a pacer? Tony's in the room.
Are you a pacer?
Tony doesn't know what it means. It's fine.
Somebody, that paces around the room whenever they're stressed out.
I've never had a conversation with Tony. I'm giving him stuff to do, and I think he knows this, and I'm almost always multitasking. I cannot sit still.
Yeah. See, I'm the same way. I'll read an email and I'll be I'll pace around the house and I'll just
I cannot sit
And it's
still.
nothing I can do in the moment. There's nothing you can do in the moment sometimes. It's like, it's midnight. Who am I?
Emails are the worst.
Yeah, it's midnight. What am I going to do? I'm going to call this customer that complained about X item, and it's like...
Emails are the worst.
But sometimes it's just better to handle these things when you're more composed.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agreed. Whenever that will be for me. We'll get there.
This is going to sound like a repeat question, but it's really not. What do you do to de-stress in light of everything you have on your plate right now?
Something I've been doing with my boyfriend that's been really helpful and healthy is leaving my computer at home for a day. Like if I'm at his house or he's over here, putting my computer in a place where I can't reach it, can't touch it, can't see it, and sometimes even turning my phone off. I won't say I'm the best at that, but that has been the number one thing. The second thing is setting boundaries, which I haven't been great at doing with clients, but saying, hey, I have an auto email responder now that says I'm going to respond to you on Monday. If you email me Saturday, Sunday, or Friday after 6, unless it's an urgent matter, which it usually isn't, I'm not going to respond. And actually that works twofold because I look like an idiot if I start responding to emails after I have an autoresponder on. So it keeps me away from client interactions and stress and, figuring stuff out. So those are one thing. The second thing is a morning routine. I got off of it for the last week and I could feel things were off. Protein shake in the morning, 3 things on my get shit done list. What's going to drive the most revenue for my business done before 10 a.m. Dishes out of the sink, checking that bills are paid, getting little things off my mind in the morning that could bother me throughout the day to the point where I can't focus on what's important. So.
Fantastic.
Yes. And working out, of course.
Yeah.
Teaching cycling at Fly.
Absolutely.
And even tonight, I have a personal training session at 6. I usually do personal training once a week. And I haven't had the best day. But I know I'm going to show up and I'm going to go in there and I'm not going to feel like working out. But I have a coach that's there to push me through. And that's going to be great for me. So.
Excellent. So what's next?
What's next? What a question. So I've said this vision to a couple people and I feel like so intimidated to admit it out loud, but I think you have to kind of speak things into existence if you want to accomplish them. Law of attraction, right? I feel like you would get that. So for me, I'd love to see the agency be 50% project-based and 50% of these online courses that we're rolling out and continue teaching people on a micro level how to tell the story of their brand, how to craft a social media strategy, how to hire VA assistants. And I'd love to be kind of like a Marie Forleo of marketing or, my own version of what Gary Vee does. Even, a personality that people trust to get good information about what they should be doing with their marketing and their strategy and their storytelling and leveraging executive assistants and how to do everything that they can to free up their time. And really that's, a huge goal is becoming more of a thought leader in this space, but not just to be a thought leader, to bring immense, tremendous value to people. So that's what's next for me.
Well, just so you know, I trust you.
Oh, you're so kind.
Oh,
That's someone today. I'm just kidding.
No, I trust you. We need more people like you. Keep doing this good shit because I really appreciate it. And thanks for doing the podcast today.
Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. I want to thank my friend Natalie Micale for joining me on the podcast today. There was a lot I learned, and I hope there was a lot that you learned from this episode. I also wanted to take this opportunity to express some gratitude to all of you for your kind words, whether it be text message, direct message, or some of the comments that you've left on my social media posts about the podcast. I really enjoyed reading them, and I'm glad you're enjoying what I have to offer here. That said, it would help the podcast tremendously if you are able to leave a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. This pushes us to the top of the search engine queue when people are looking for what to listen to next. And speaking of content, if you can, like, comment, share some of the statuses on my social media pages. Share my social media pages. Share an episode of the podcast with one of your best friends. There is nothing that I would love more than to grow this audience and keep creating great content for you. This has been Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark. Until next time, thank you.